Hey everybody, Chuck Holton here, coming to you from the shores of beautiful Lake Como, Italy. Out taking a walk here. In that crazy Oval Office meeting between President Trump, J.D. Vance, and the president of Ukraine a few months ago, one of the things President Trump kept saying to President Zelensky was that he didn't have any cards. He had no cards. Well, it seems like President Zelensky went back to Ukraine and decided to prove President Trump wrong, because in the last few days, we've seen him play a couple of cards that were pretty effective. First of all, we had Operation Spiderweb, where Ukrainian drones took out 41 Soviet-era bombers, aircraft that had been active in bombing Ukraine, and make up 1/3 of the strategic triad of the Russian nuclear capability. And so they believe that probably damaged up to 30% of their entire fleet of strategic aircraft. I think it could have been actually more than that, not to mention the strikes that were done on submarines and power generation facilities and fuel depots and communications infrastructures, and 2 bridges that were collapsed that same day inside Russia. And that all definitely sets Russia's capabilities back pretty significantly, and not just significantly for Ukraine, but for the rest of the world, because of that nuclear component. And so there have been some accounts online saying, we haven't seen J.D. Vance say thank you to President Zelensky yet. Maybe he should. Well, that wasn't the last thing that they did. They played another card last night, and that was striking the Kerch Strait bridge between Ukraine, which is occupied by Russia, Crimea, and the Russian mainland. Now, that bridge was built after Russia annexed Crimea in 2014. It was inaugurated in 2018 by President Putin himself, and it has been struck 3 times now by Ukraine. Once in 2022, October, they detonated a truck bomb on top of the bridge. 5 people were killed, and they damaged or destroyed 2 of the lanes of that bridge and part of the rail line that goes along that bridge. Then in 2023, they hit the bridge with a sea drone and damaged some of the support structures. And now, yesterday, at 4:44 a.m., an 1,100-pound charge was detonated, they say, at or near the seafloor on one of the bridge's support structures. And it's not 1,100 pounds, 1,100 kilograms, which is about 2,500 pounds of explosive. And the images that are coming out from Russian security cameras that have leaked look like a very large explosion. It's pretty dramatic, without a doubt. However, this may be more of a symbolic strike, just because of the way that those supports are constructed. Now, people have done research on this. Open source intelligence shows that the bridge supports are made from tubular supports that go down into the seabed. Those tubes are about 6 feet in diameter and 1 inch thick, filled with concrete. And there are 8 of them per pillar on that bridge. For them to be able to blow those things up and actually destroy them with any amount of explosives, the most important thing when you're placing explosives is to actually shape it to the shape of the thing that you're trying to blow up. So I'm going to show you this. Here's a light pole right here. Okay, so let's assume that this is one of the support structures on the bridge. If you really wanted to damage that, what you'd want to do is wrap that explosive around the support structure on the bridge and then detonate it, because then the most explosive force is going to be transferred to the structure itself. However, it looks like what they did is they used a 6-meter underwater drone with the explosives, which is shaped like a sausage or like a big missile. And so it would have pulled up next to that thing and then detonated. And you can see there's not a lot of contact between the bridge support and the bomb, which means that the explosive force of that would be lowered quite a bit, probably by 2/3 or so. And so they would have needed 5 of those at least, those 1,100 kilogram charges, to take out one support pillar for the bridge. And even that wouldn't destroy the bridge. I mean, the thing was just extremely overbuilt. And there are protective measures around that, but blowing things up underwater is that much more difficult because the water itself dampens the strength of the explosion. Again, unless you can have the explosive literally wrapped around the object you're trying to blow up. So now, just the fact that this may not have destroyed the bridge definitely doesn't mean that this wasn't an important strike. First of all, that bridge is a symbolic target because it was built by Russia to connect the Russian mainland to Crimea, which is Ukraine. And so for the Ukrainians, it's a huge PR win. It's a huge morale boost to the people in Ukraine to see that thing go kaboom. If they can stop traffic on that bridge, it obviously would make it much more difficult for the Russians to resupply Crimea. Doesn't mean that they can't. They could still do it by water, or they could do it by air, or they could drive around in the occupied territories and supply Crimea, their most important naval base at Sevastopol. But it would make it more difficult for them for sure. And now they're going to have to dedicate more resources to trying to protect that bridge, as Ukraine shows that they can still strike that bridge if they want to. So it's an important feat, accomplishment on the part of the SBU, the Special Services of Ukraine, to be able to strike this bridge, especially since there was already a lot of security around that bridge, and because of the previous attacks. Now, they may have actually planned a larger attack and it didn't quite materialize. The statement that was put out by the SBU said that was the first of the attacks that they had planned on the bridge. And what they mean is kind of insinuating that there were actually more explosions meant to happen. Now, it could be that they had emplaced more explosives and they didn't go off. It could be that they had planned to strike with unmanned surface vessels, these drone boats that they've been striking with all across the Black Sea. Russia put out a video that showed a drone boat being blown up by a Lancet loitering munition. We don't have a date on when that was filmed, so we're not really sure exactly when that took place. But if it was a drone boat that was on its way to blow up the bridge, then that one got taken out at least. So it could be that there was a lot more planned, or that there still may be more planned. And these unique special military operations that the SBU is pulling off definitely show that the Ukrainians still have cards to play. So that's all I got for today. Enjoy the rest of the videos we're putting up while I'm on vacation, and we'll see you again next time. Make sure you go to chuckholton.com and you can sign up there for extra content that we're putting up every single day. and get lots of stuff early as well. So God bless you. We'll see you again next time.